Hello, everyone. How are you this Saturday evening in February? It's good to see you guys. I see my dad and my mom, Susan B. Welcome to your first live. Thank you so much for being here. Mads was early to the chat. Thank you. Hi, Karen Cole. Nice to see you. Hey, Chris, did you finish your stream? Hi, Jenny. Leah, hello, guys. I have so many blue wrenches in my chat. I've been adding people. Let me see. Trying to go back through here and say hello. So we've got some folks who are not feeling very well. You'll notice Jenny is not up here with me tonight. She is feeling a little under the weather, but she is in the chat, so we hope she feels better. And Mads is also not feeling too great, which sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, hi, Route Irish. Okay, so I've got Scotti coming on to help talk to you guys about our power of the prosecution, prosecutorial misconduct situation. And what's really cool is that we have an example from Hillsborough County. And Scotti even either saw this person like practice or knows him, one of the two. But so we're gonna talk about that with you guys too. So I'm always happy when I can find an example of things to share that are from my own little realm here in Florida, where we're back to having normal weather, normal Florida weather. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. As you guys have heard by now, I think. Oh no, Karen Cole has the flu too. Listen, I'm social distancing from all of you. I don't need that. So next week is going to be super exciting. Well, I'm excited. I think she's excited. But Tanika is going to come on the stream from Tanika's 2 Cents. And rather than go through like some formal review of a case, we're just going to have a conversation. And I think it's going to be super fun. And I'm looking forward to it. And if you guys haven't checked out Tanika's channel, make sure you do that. Hey, Alexis. So Alexis is a new mod that I have added. She's on the East Coast with me. Leah is on Mountain Time, I think, maybe. And of course, Trial TV Live, always grateful for Aaron's help in producing my little stream. I do have some stuff I'm going to show you tonight. Hopefully, I'll remember to do all the steps correctly. But yeah. So yeah, Leah's on Mountain Time, and I've only had one person in. I mean, this chat is small. This channel is small, and hi, Jan's Journey. You're having issues hearing me. How is my audio, Aaron? Is anybody else having sound issues? Okay. 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 All right. So maybe maybe Jan's Journey, maybe it's you, because everybody else is saying it's okay. Yes, small but mighty, Karen. Oh, I have a lot of I was saying I have a lot of mods. I've only had need for a mod one time. maybe you could take it as putting energy out into the world that the channel will grow. But yeah, we've had a great chat. I haven't had any issues. I don't expect to have any issues, but I do expect that because Tanika's channel is big, that we will have people who are not familiar with us. So just want to be on the safe side and keep things peaceful and enjoyable for everyone, because we don't hate here. There's none of that. Yeah, Aaron says if you build it, it will come. Yeah, I mean, we're trying. So I'm on I'm definitely trying to work on things more, put some more things together. Route Irish, you're out on Pacific time. It's hard to pick a time, because like, for example, OnlyFan, he's in Singapore. So, and I believe Karen Cole's in the UK. So we've got people from all over the place, and that's very exciting. And I'm always grateful for anyone who can make it in and join the lives or replay. Love you guys just as much. I put up a new poll about the book and the docuseries. This time I gave you all the choices. So I can tell you that Aaron was able to capture all. We have the video. And thank you to Alexis for sending me a source for that. So we have it. The question is that we're trying to figure out, and I do not want to go anywhere near Discord. The question we're trying to figure out is how to do it without losing the channel. So patience, I guess. Give me some time. We're trying to figure that out. And it may be that it's not going to be, I'm not going to cover either the book or the docuseries on the regular streams. I've already said that. I'm going to make it a separate thing because there are people who just aren't interested, and that's fine. I have no issue with that. But like I said, I am trying to figure out how to do it without losing the entire channel. And at the time of going live, I had 393 subscribers. I'm sorry, my nose is running. 493 subscribers. So if we get 7 more, we've hit 400, and that'll be very exciting. Susan B, welcome. She says, I absolutely loved you when you were reporting on Sarah on Curious Channel. I still have so many questions. Well, I do my best to answer them. There is Tanika. I was just talking about you. So the docuseries, right? We're trying to figure out how to do it and not get a copyright strike. There's 6 episodes. I think they're each about 40 minutes long. I'm looking into options, and like I said, Aaron is assisting me with that, and we'll get it figured out. But next week will be the collab with Tanika, which I'm so excited for. That's going to be so much fun. Legal Minded Friend says, you heard that song today. No hateration. Yeah. I heard, I've been watching that new show, Paradise. It's on one of the streaming services. And they've been doing like covers of old 80s, 90s songs. And I cannot get a Poison song that they played out of my head. It's been there for like 5 days. Yeah, Jenny, you're watching that too. I mean, there's nothing new to watch right now. And I feel like I clicked onto Hulu and it looks like True Crime Central there. It's like, well, I need a little space from the true crime situation. So, what else? Okay, so the book, I have some things I want to show you. Actually, I can do it now while I'm waiting for Scotti. Gentai, welcome. So I'm going to see how my presentation sharing skills go on today. So let's give this a shot. I'm going to show you, first I'm going to send you, or I'm going to show you Emily Bazelon's website. So let's see if we can do this. As usual, Erin was tutoring me before I came on here. Okay. So hold on, let me see how that looks for you guys. Okay. Okay. So this will give you sort of an overview of the book. These are reviews. And then down here, if you don't want to read the book, or you're or listen to the book, which is what I did the first time, here she's made a lot of podcast appearances. So I will tell you this. I listened to the book a number of years ago. I am rereading it. It has some discussion of politics, which is not something I wanted to walk into. I'm not wanting to have a discussion about one side being right and one side being wrong. But I want to explain what she does in this book is she follows 2 elected prosecutors and 2 young people who have been charged with crimes. So one is a young man named Kevin, and he was charged with a crime when he was opening a door at his friend's apartment, and he happened to pick up a gun. And on the other side of the door, when he was getting ready to open it, unbeknownst to him, was law enforcement. And it wasn't his gun, but he took the fall. The other person is a young lady who was charged with murder. And so the book follows both of them through the system. And so I want to be able to have a very rational discussion about this. I just remember it having such a huge impact on me and how eye-opening it was. And Kevin even references Kalief Browder, which is the docuseries. Jay-Z, the hip-hop mogul, is the person who put together the documentary on Kalief. So I want to tell you a little bit more about the book. So Kevin's case is about the ordinary and perfectly legal exercise of a prosecutor's power, beginning with the decision about how to charge a crime. Nora's case is different. It shades into the abuse of power, showing just how much can go wrong when a prosecutor breaks the legal and ethical rules that are supposed to protect all of us from being squeezed in the state's vice. I'll follow each case through the criminal process from arrest and charging to bail, plea bargaining, or trial and sentencing. These 2 stories illustrate the damage prosecutors can do and also the precious second chances they can extend that allow people to make things right in their own lives. You'll see how criminal prosecutions can go wrong and why they don't have to. I'll also explore how new DAs, district attorneys, elected in cities around the country, including Philadelphia, Chicago, Jacksonville, St. Louis, Denver, and Houston, are coming together to lobby nationally for more rational and merciful law enforcement. At the end of the book, I'll share a blueprint for 21st century prosecution. She goes on to say that prosecutors have always been obligated to pursue a dual mission, seek convictions, and act as ministers of justice. The roles are obviously unharmonious, Supreme Court Justice Thurgood, it doesn't want to come out of my mouth, Marshall once wrote, a phrase that captures the difficulty inherent in playing both at once. But mastering that duality is fundamental to a prosecutor's professional and ethical calling. Good prosecutors know it and live it and teach it. The prosecutor is in a peculiar and very definite sense the servant of the law, the twofold aim of which is that guilt shall not escape or innocents suffer, Supreme Court Justice George Sutherland wrote in 1935. The citizen's safety lies in the prosecutor, who tempers zeal with human kindness, Justice Robert Jackson added 5 years later. In other words, the prosecutor's job is not to exact the greatest possible punishment. It is not to win at all costs. It's to offer mercy in equal measure to justice. So, yeah. If you think that this is not something you're interested in, again, totally fine. If you think this is an issue that is too politically charged, absolutely fine. Skip it. Like I said, I'm not going to do it in my regular streams. It'll be a choice thing, and I will expect those of you who do choose to come and uh, discuss the book, that you will do so with respect for everyone. Okay, let me go back over here. All right, let me look at chat for a second. Oh yeah, I've seen the first season of Severance, Trial TV Live. Route Irish says, Tanika, good to see you making us wait on Sarah's buddy. I'm surprised more people haven't come forward on Ms. Boone. Let me tell you something. Tanika is like the wizard of finding the good stuff, all the tea on Sarah Boone. Right? I'm looking forward to that. Yes, Tanika, you want to hear from a juror. I'm sure you'll find one, my dear. You could do my job better than I can. I'm convinced of it. Yes, Scotti is coming back tonight. He texted me and said he was driving home. I don't know where he's coming from, and that he'd be a little late. I told him to just jump in when he had a chance. Juror number 3 is a legend. Why is juror number 3 a legend? I missed that. Let me try to move this over here so I'm not changing direction here. Alexis says, my tender heart can only handle so much. It's much better to share with others. Legal-minded friend says, I think a big issue is judges not using their discretion appropriately. Tanika would make it the world's best PI, without a doubt. Susan B. So, have I been asked already to do Q&A on Sarah? You remember that I answered some questions months ago before the trial. I have been live streaming since, I want to say like November 21-ish, and I've addressed Sarah. What I need to do is go into my streams and edit like sections for people who don't want to sit through an entire stream, which I don't blame them. But I'm scared of editing, which I've said before, and it's why I do this, why I stream, and why I leave the streams alone once they're done, which is, it would never be good enough for me, right? I would go in there, I'll watch it, I'll hate myself, I'll hate what I said, it will just be a thing. So, I did address Sarah to some extent. I basically said that my jaw was on the freaking floor along with everybody else's, I think, because I was not aware of all the discovery. Like, when I was on the case, actually, I was not even reviewing all the discovery, because my job at that time was to basically deal with Sarah. So, Tanika has great coverage on Sarah. She has done some seriously deep dives. And I still can't talk about anything that was attorney-client privilege. So, I don't know, if I can't even remember now if I had anything interesting to share with you guys, but I did talk about it in the streams from when I started. And yes, Tanika is great. Tanika says StreamYard has a quick edit feature. If you want to make a longer video shorter, you can't add or reposition. You can delete stuff though. I can show you. It may be with the paid. Yeah, I'm on the free plan. And the options are very, very limited. But yeah, Susan B., if you do have specific questions, definitely you can email me. It's floridapicm@gmail.com. And I will be happy to try to answer. So let's see what else. Okay, so again, with the book, if it's not your thing, if you think it's gonna upset you, whatever, just don't do it. So now what I want to show you though, and again, Scotti should be joining me at some point, and if not, I'll just carry on by myself. But I'm going to show you now a video from YouTube. It's about 6 minutes long, and it's about Kalief. Okay, so I'm going to try to do that anyway. I was supposed to have everything prepped properly, and of course I've already forgotten. All right, give me a second. Share screen and go to this. Okay.
This fall, the announcement was made just days after the 6th anniversary of corrections announced it will end the practice of solitary confinement beginning this fall. The announcement was made just days after the 6th anniversary of Kalief Browder's death. The New York City teen spent 3 years inside Rikers, 2 of those in solitary confinement, without being convicted of a crime. Browder subsequently struggled with his mental health and eventually took his own life. A new exhibition in Brooklyn, New York, seeks to shed light on Browder's story. NewsHour Weekend's Yvette Feliciano spoke with artist Kobe Kennedy about his exhibit.
In his piece, Kalief Browder, The Box, at Brooklyn, New York's Pioneer Works, artist Kobe Kennedy created an 8x10 by 6 feet sculpture that replicates the exact dimensions of a solitary confinement cell on New York City's Rikers Island. The glass surfaces are etched with line renderings of the bed, barred window, and toilet, along with text.
Sandblasted on the side of the piece here is Kalief Browder was kidnapped off the street by police, taken away from his mother, family, friends, held for over 1,000 days on Rikers Island for a crime he did not commit, and was physically and mentally tortured by being locked in a solitary box for over 700 of those days, 23 hours a day.
When Kennedy first learned about Browder's story through news reports, he says he felt incapacitated for days.
It hit me so hard because I feel a real personal connection to it, because what he made it through and what he endured has been one of my worst nightmares ever since I was a child. To be held in that way, you know, you're kidnapped.
In addition to his time in solitary, Browder was physically and mentally abused by prison guards and other incarcerated people.
You talk about this.
Look at the size of that. I mean, that's crazy. It never in a million years occurred to me that a solitary cell would be that small. Absolutely shocking to me. And his case is the reason why they don't have that on Rikers Island anymore.
This chronic fear of having a situation like that from the time you were, you know, a child. Where does that stem from?
For me, I've experienced, whether it was growing up in DC as a kid or living my life in New York, honestly, every country I've been to, you know, I've experienced these moments where I've come very, very close to having that freedom taken away. A lot of times just for being who I am. And I knew going into this that the piece itself, being a recreation of a solitary confinement cell, could be triggering for people. But then on the flip side, there are vast, vast amounts of communities and people that need to see this and need to experience this.
To that end, the installation is presented in conjunction with a 4-part town hall series led by the civic engagement organization 4 Freedoms. It introduces participants to the damaging impacts of mass incarceration. Discussions center the voices of legal scholars, activists, and formerly incarcerated people at the forefront of the movement to end solitary confinement.
I'm standing in front of you as somebody telling you, I suffered the inhumanity, the indignity, the trauma, and the torture of solitary confinement. No one should be treated like that, not any single human being.
Sam Giratani of Negative Space, a social justice consulting company, facilitated the collaboration between Kennedy, Pioneer Works, and Four Freedoms.
Because it's a show around mass incarceration, there's sort of like a small sect of people that will continue to come and see shows like this. But because this is happening at Pioneer Works, I'm hoping that we just reach a little bit more of a broader audience, even if it's not completely changing a mindset, it's at least educating people on the Halt Solitary movement and what they're doing to change policies.
What is it that
And that's my point, right? Is that I want to be able to just show you guys different sides of things that maybe you haven't been exposed to in the past, because even though I was working in criminal defense, I had no idea. Sometimes I have to go into the jail into where my client is in lockdown. Usually they'll bring them to me, even though I have to go to a different section than where professional visits are normally conducted. But I know that sometimes they have to just talk to the professional person, the lawyer, the investigator, through their cell doors. So um, I've never seen a solitary confinement cell.
you feel like the other side, or people from this subjective reality that's so different from yours, what are they missing about Kalief's story?
They don't realize that they would offer him plea bargains all the time while he was locked up, and he wouldn't take them. He was out for 2 years after he was released, fighting for his case against the city. Not just that, but fighting against the realities of the institutions that were still coming down on him, still trying to paint him as a criminal.
Browder's trauma caused lasting depression that resulted in his suicide in 2015, about 2 years after his release. But it's Browder's strength in solitary confinement and his perseverance that Kennedy wants the public to remember him for.
It's the story of a boy finding so much fortitude and so much strength within himself that no matter what came at him, he always fought back against it in defense of his own humanity and his own truth. And the most important part on this piece is the quote that Sam blasted here. The way I looked at it, if I got to stay here just to prove that I'm innocent, then so be it. That's by Kalief himself.
Browder's family settled a lawsuit with the city of New York in 2019, yet no one was held accountable for having incarcerated this 16-year-old for 3 years with neither trial nor proof. Kennedy hopes the sculpture will illuminate the Halt Solitary.
Did you catch that? 16 years old. He was charged for a crime he really, truly did not commit, which was the theft of a backpack. His mother could not afford the bond, and this is the result. And when I saw this for the very first time, I was stunned, and I still think about it all the time. What if I got arrested? What if nobody could bail me out? That leads to, if you think about it, right? That leads to loss of a job, loss of your, if you have no job and you are not at work, then you're not making money, you're not paying your bills, so you're going to lose your housing, especially if you're a person on your own. You could lose your children, you could lose your pets. Your entire world can be turned upside down. And I think people need to really be aware of that, just beyond the scope of a Karen Read, right? This could happen to any one of us.
involuntary movement and Browder's overwhelming endurance inside the box.
A lot of people miss that in the whole story, is Kalief's strength, his fortitude, just nonstop, even all the way up to the last part of his life.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, immediate support.
Okay, am I back? I was I had my own stream going there for a second. So Kalief's story is really super powerful, and I think that even though that happened in 2015, you guys are, well, those of you who are here because you're interested in true crime, you can now think about, as someone in the chat said, Richard Allen, right? Because that's a white adult who was treated terribly. I will admittedly say I did not follow his trial or his case. I have picked up pieces of it here and there, but it's a good reminder that this is an ongoing issue. And the question is, do we err on the side of, well, everyone needs to be locked up if they're suspected of a crime? Or do you allow people to continue to live their lives if they're suspected of a crime? And I guess maybe it comes down to how heinous it is. I don't know. These are questions I struggle with all the time because I want the system to be fair, and I'm hoping what you guys are starting to take away from this, because I know a lot of you watch cases, um, that you see that the system isn't fair, right? Sarah Boone belongs where she is, which is in prison for the rest of her life for what she did to George Torres. As I've said many, many times before, I'm not for freeing guilty people or getting guilty people off scot-free, right? I'm here because I want to explain process and where I grew up and where I went to high school and where I went to college and even where I went to law school were all places of privilege. And so I had never set foot in a jail before. I had never come near. I hadn't had any friends I knew that had been arrested. I mean, maybe somebody had for a DUI and they never told me, but it's been eye-opening for me. So, and again, I'm here just to try to share with you perspective that I haven't seen elsewhere. Okay, Leah, accused of stealing a backpack, let him live his life. It's not like he was a violent criminal. Right, and it was off a eyewitness, who just described him. It's just crazy. Alexa says, in her opinion, nature of the crime should be a factor. I agree, because what happens is, like I said, it's a domino effect, right? And you lose everything, and then what happens to you? Let's say they say, "Oh, sorry, we were wrong. Please go ahead and go back out there," and now you have nothing left. And maybe it your mugshot shows up on mugshot.com, right? So you try to get a job and they do a background search on you and they will find you. For example, in Hillsborough County, you can go on the Hillsborough County arrest inquiry site and see anybody that's ever been booked. So it kind of sucks. Tanika says, I think there needs to be a criteria based on the facts of the case. If something doesn't fit or needs additional consideration, there should be judicial review at a higher court. The system is too clogged up for that, though. And so the power lies in the prosecutor's hands. I mean, that's the long and the short of it. We will also be looking at and using Karen Read as an example, law enforcement's dastardly deeds, right? I have the hypotheticals or sort of the factual scenarios, I guess, of some of my own cases that I want to share as well. And this is kind of a hard series to do in a way, because I realized after starting it that you can't sort of disentangle law enforcement from the prosecution. You can to some extent, but a lot of times it goes hand in hand. And I think we see that for a current case that you all are aware of in Karen Read more than anything. And like I said, I don't know, did not follow much about the Richard Allen trial. So anyway, these are not going to be happy stories. We'll find some happy redemption stories somewhere along the line. Because I don't want to be all doom and gloom and all bad things all the time, right? In fact, let me tell you about a person whose case I worked on. Right, Tanika, solo cups to collect evidence. They need a refund from CSI school. Yeah, she's referring to the law enforcement investigation at to the unaliving of John O'Keefe. Matt says the sad part is, by the way the world is looking, this will be far from the last time this kind of thing will happen. It happens every single day. It's just a matter of awareness. I think so. There's a tag on YouTube, legal awareness, and I thought, oh wow, okay, that is more or less what I am trying to do. Hey, there's the squeegee of justice who has just finished streaming his trial. Welcome, welcome. So we will find good stories. It's a raid incoming from Trial TV Live. Welcome, 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 welcome. Anyone who's coming over from the Trial TV Live. Hi, Widespread Panic. Welcome. Welcome, you guys. So I promised to find good stories, but I'm going to tell you a slightly funny one right now. There was a case I worked on that had multiple co-defendants, and I can't remember which one I had, to be honest. But what stuck out to me was that it was a home invasion. Nobody got hurt. It was ridiculously put together. And I believe the people who were doing the invading knew the invadees. So this kid has like a shotgun. His pants are too big and he's wearing slides. So he goes running out of the house and his pants fall down. He loses his phone and his slides before he makes it back to the car. So, you know, not all criminals are terribly smart. Maybe none of them are. I don't know. Hi, Dwayne. Nice to see you. Welcome in. Anybody coming in from Trial TV Live? Hello, OnlyFan. How are you? Yes, Chris puts in the hours streaming all day. He's been covering 2 different trials this week. It's a lot of work. Hi, therapist. Welcome. The squeegee. Chris says, I never understood that. The pants down and you can't run and escape. Who wears slides? Socks and slides. Like, how would you run? How would you run in that? And then your pants are falling down. So you're trying to hold on to your phone and your gun at the same time. Like, come on. If you're going to do it, just like think about it first. I don't know. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yes, leave some DNA or a fingerprint on that like button if you don't mind. And we're just a few subscribers short of hitting 400, which is very exciting. Hello, cats or dogs. Welcome in. Welcome. So, yes, so that's the book and the bit about Kalief as well. Slides route Irish are like flip-flops, but they're more like bedroom slippers, and they're plastic. And like the jails, that's what they wear in the jails. And when you hear like inmates coming down the corridor or the hallway or whatever, it sounds like, I liken it to like the sound of a lot of bugs all at once. It's disturbing because they're like a hard plastic. But yeah, slides do not equal quick escapes. So, you know, at the most, you should probably think about your footwear. But then we got a new one where some slides were stolen off of a person, and the person had the slides like on his hands walking down the street. And the victim's mom comes driving by and she says, "Hey, did you just rob my son of those slides?" And they're like, "Yep, sure did," and took off. Yeah, if you're gonna do the crime, Mads, don't wear slides. Kristen says she feels like drugs might have been involved. I don't remember. This was one of the, like I said, nobody was hurt. The parties knew each other. It was just something stupid. But that little bit has just always stuck out in my head. So I thought I would share that. Okay. Thank you guys for coming in from Trial TV Live. We appreciate having you here. If you don't mind, please hit the like button, and I hope you will come back next week for the collaboration with Tanika. Tanika's 2 cents will be up here with me, and we will be chatting about investigating true crime. Welcome, Yawning Greyhound, who says, "Closest I have to a blue heart." All right, so I had hoped Scotti would be able to be here by now, but he hasn't. So Karen Read was back in court this week. I have seen every single channel break down the legal arguments. So for those who don't know, again, there's some people on here that come because they're supporting me and not because they're true crime fans. But so Karen Read is a woman in Massachusetts who has been charged with the murdering of her boyfriend, a Boston cop, via her Lexus taillight. The investigation has been nothing short of, I don't have a word, horrific, incompetent. We will talk to some extent about it. I don't want to cover ground that everybody knows, but I do want to give, a little bit of coverage to it. So Karen was back in court this week. The judge is Judge Beverly Canone. She sounds like she is exhausted and put out all the time. She makes very abrupt choices, and she never rules from the bench. So Karen Read was back in court on a motion for costs, and it should have been a no-brainer. And of course, it was denied. I personally, in my personal opinion, feel like Judge Beverly Canone should not be on this case. In fact, I think this case doesn't. I think Karen Read, I don't think, from what I have seen, I don't think she did that to John O'Keefe. I really don't. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I've tried to make sense out of it, and I don't get there with that. So, but the Commonwealth, the law enforcement, has been nothing but a joke, and this was a Boston police officer who is the victim. The other thing that she was back in court for, hold on, let me look at my summary that Jenny put together for me. So in addition to having the I'm just blown away by this case, you guys. So in addition to having the motion for recouping her costs of $12,000 for having her expert come to Canton to try to view the contents of the DVR from the Sally port at the police station where the Lexus was taken, was a waste. And it wasn't there. I mean, you guys all know this. So I don't want to waste your time by going back through it. But let me see. Okay, so somewhere along the line, Canton had to have had the entire video, but it's not on the system. They have been turning over snippets of it, and at one point they were completely reversed. The image was reversed. It makes absolutely no sense. The Commonwealth is still turning over discovery. This is after her trial. She has been tried already, and the Commonwealth is dumping mountains of discovery onto the defense, and Judge Cannoni is bent on trying this case again. I believe, what is it, April or May? It's crazy. And so they've brought in a special prosecutor who has his own practice, and people are speculating on whether he will remain on the case or, save his reputation, because the whole thing is just it's such a disgrace, and it's a disservice to John O'Keefe, frankly. And it is a disservice to Karen Read, and frankly, in my opinion, to the justice system. It's just so much. The defense tried to argue that this is misconduct and that there are violations, and that it prejudices Karen Read. But Judge Bev has no love, no anything for Karen Read. It's just crazy. Let me see. So they're still arguing about defense. So on the day this week that Karen Read was dumped more discovery, the defense said, "Judge, we can't be ready to file our motion to dismiss by February 11th, right? I mean, it was like February 5th, 6th, 7th, I don't know. So judge gave them till the 21st, which, okay. Yeah, April 1 trial begins. And by March 7th, everything has to be in the trial. There will be the pretrial hearing, a pretrial hearing, filing of all the motions in limine must be by the 7th. The 18th and 19th will be the final hearing / pretrial conference. And then April 1, the trial will start. So, crazy, right? Let me see what you guys are talking about. So what I did is, and I think it's really interesting. So the special prosecutor in Karen Read, the first one's name was Morrissey, and then in Rust is it Carrie Morrissey? What is Carrie's last name? Are they overlapping? Am I remembering that? I don't know how they're still finding. They needed, oh my gosh, all the things. Let me stop speaking in half sentences. Okay. Yeah, I agree with Kristen that, the state has messed this up so bad, we'll never know what really happened to John O'Keefe other than he passed in the cold. Widespread panic. I understand being Karen read it out. I agree that the judge is favoring the prosecution, and it is not cool in the least. And I think the bias is blatantly obvious. And it's crazy that we are still here talking about it. I mean, I didn't even pay much, if any, attention to it the first time around, and now here we are still fighting it, and it's ridiculous. At least she's not in jail, but I mean, the amount of money she has put up for her defense, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, there is no shame in her biased game. That is correct. And the Commonwealth continues to give pieces of evidence. And I tell you guys about this too. This happens to us, right? That we get pieces of evidence in discovery bit by bit when they get around to it, if they feel like it. And that's not how it's supposed to work. There are rules, and nobody follows the rules. Jenny says the big document dump or discovery dump was on the 6th. Let's see. I don't know, Tanika. I cannot for the life of me fathom why there is not a new judge on this case. I just can't. I don't understand. I just don't. Yeah, they demoted Mr. Lally, the prosecutor. And how is it not Brady? All the things, you guys, everything. Yeah, Alexis, I really agree with this, that at this point, it's less about what Karen Read did or did not do, and now a trial about an investigation and an investigation into trial. I mean, the investigation was so bad. There's a federal investigation into the investigation as well. There should be. And I hope that people are taken down for this, because they very much should be. You know, and yeah, I understand being over hearing about it. I really do, right? And being ready to move on. But the thing is, like, we have to watch this play out. I think it's important. Just like, Kalief's story is not a good story. It's not a good story at all, but I think it's one that we need to be aware of, because I think too many of us live in a bubble. And if you can't relate to a Kalief Browder, maybe you can relate to a Karen Read, just out, seemingly with friends having drinks, and the next thing you know, your boyfriend has passed and you're charged with having done that. And then there's the butt dialing of the iPhones during intimate relations. I mean, there's the collection of evidence in red Solo cups. It's all just too twisted. Like, I feel like you couldn't make it up. And I feel that way about a lot of things. Let's see. Okay. Tanika says, I think she should walk. She can go on about her life. The whole thing is a kangaroo court. Yeah, I mean, she's lost so much anyway. If someone wrote this as a script, it would get rejected. Truth is stronger than fiction. I agree. Leah says the judges have too much power. We're going to look at judicial power and overreach on that too. Because I definitely think that some people they should just not be on the bench, Yeah, I mean, then you have the FBI. Was Brian Higgins an FBI agent? I don't remember. And he says he wasn't on his cell phone, but then he went and did a self-extraction, and then there's video of him being on the phone, and then he destroyed his phone on a military base. I mean, please. We can't. DEA. Thank you, Susan B. I appreciate it. At this point, the cases that are on YouTube that I try to sort of keep an eye on are running together with my current cases, and my current cases are in a blender because I keep saying the same thing every week. 14-year-olds committing murder. sent Scotti the news alert, and the next day he sent me one back. And don't you know, we're like, well, I guess we'll be seeing this one soon, because eventually it's going to land in our laps. It's just crazy. I cannot make up any of this stuff. So yeah, they are bleeding her dry financially. So what I have for you guys here is actually, how do I want to do this? So I have some other exhibits to show you that I picked out all by myself. So what I have up, I'm going to show you an article from here in Tampa Bay about an prosecutor. That's what we're talking about a prosecutor who is no longer employed thanks to his indiscretion. Then we're going to take a quick look at the rules of professional conduct for lawyers. So I don't know if everyone is aware, and if you are, then good for you. When you are in law school, you take, they call it professionalism. And there is a separate exam from the bar exam called the MPRE, which I could not even begin to tell you what it stands for. It's like professional responsibility and ethics. So basically, you are taught all of the rules of being a lawyer, and it's a code of conduct essentially. And then you're tested on it, and you have to pass that in addition to passing the bar, at least in Florida. And again, I reiterate this all the time. I can only speak to what I have been through as a person in Florida who went to law school here and who works here. So, Tanika, I don't understand how it's able to go on, and how is she generating income? No, she was making, I think that she had a really good job and was making a lot of money. It certainly seemed like it. Whether she came from money, I do not know. Kristen is saying that Karen has donors from all over the world. Okay, I did not know that. Her attorneys, Widespread Panic says her attorney's fees are at 4.4 million. Is that right? Am I reading that correctly? I know there's a defense fund, but her attorney's fees are 4.4 million more than what's been collected. That is crazy. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. That's crazy, you guys. I can't. Karen Cole, who practices in the UK, says that there are ethics courses. Good. There should be. So, yeah, remember how mad everybody was that how the defense was spending money on Sarah Boone's case, and that was only a couple $100,000. So, I ask you, as I ask myself, could I afford a defense? Absolutely not. Could not. They don't pay me enough as a defense investigator to defend myself from getting arrested and being charged with a crime. So, despite what OnlyFans says, which that this channel is how to crime with PICM, it is in fact not. It is not. It's just don't crime. Don't commit them, and we'll all be good. All right, so let's take a look here at the bad thing that this prosecutor did here in Tampa. All right, let me see what you guys are seeing real quick. All right, this is the man, and I really wanted Scotti to be here because he sent me this, and he either knew this guy or had watched a trial or something. Okay, he was a prosecutor in the gun violence unit, moved out of the unit amid questions over his handling of a victim's recanted statement in a shooting case. He then went to work for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Are you kidding me? I just can't with these people. Okay, I'm gonna just. All right, that's still big enough, I think, for you guys to see. In a little more than 3 years as a Hillsborough County prosecutor, Timothy Burns rose rapidly from handling minor theft and driving infractions to leading trials for some of Tampa's violent crimes. But questions over his handling of one shooting case, particularly his failure to disclose evidence that could have helped a defendant, blemished the last few months of his work. It's really hard to get disbarred in Florida, you guys. I mean, this is even worse. Former New York cop turned prosecutor in the office of Hillsborough County State's Attorney Susie Lopez, Burns left his position with a high-profile gun violence unit shortly after the episode last summer. He soon joined the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. I mean, come on. Burns' colleagues hustled to salvage the case as a defense attorney argued unsuccessfully for a dismissal, and a judge questioned whether the Florida bar should probe for an ethics violation. Do you think? The defendant, who ended up pleading guilty, later penned a complaint against Burns from a state prison, but the Florida bar quickly dismissed it, saying the matter is the court's to handle. I've seen some egregious misconduct, and the Florida bar does not care. The case, nevertheless, offers a unique glimpse into a misstep within the state's attorney's office, one which injected tension and drama into an otherwise straightforward case. It also underscores the strict adherence lawyers must observe to their professional responsibilities and the ramifications when they don't. A fight and a shooting. A call came to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office late on February 1, 2023. Someone reported a shooting in the parking lot of an Amazon warehouse off North Harney Road in an industrial area northeast of the Tampa city limits. Deputies pulled up to find a panicked group around two young men who had been shot. Very common scene here. The pair were rushed to hospitals. Deputies spoke with witnesses who said the shooting happened amid a fight between two other young men. Sounds exactly like what I do. Several .40 caliber bullet shell casings and a single 20 caliber casing littered the pavement. The pair had arranged over text messages to fight each other in the warehouse parking lot, deputies learned. One showed up with several friends, including the two who were shot. The other arrived with two friends of his own. As the pair punched each other, the second man's two friends pulled guns and began shooting before piling back into a black Kia Soul. A witness gave deputies a tag number. They tracked down the car and identified the driver. I'm going to butcher that name. I'm just going to say M. Hashim, who they said matched the description of one of the shooters. The other gunman was not identified, also very common. Video surveillance gave investigators enough evidence to arrest Hashim. 2 days later, Hillsborough County prosecutors charged him with multiple counts of attempted murder and other crimes, as they are wont to do. The gun violence unit. The case found its way to a group of prosecutors in the state's attorney's office that focuses on gun crimes. And as a side note, we have a matching unit for non-schmurdering gun violence in the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The gun violence unit drew a wave of public attention early last summer when Susie Lopez is the state's attorney here, and how she got there is a whole other story, hosted a news conference to announce its expansion. Standing before a line of prosecutors, cops, community leaders, and crime victims, Lopez said she had added 3 trial prosecutors to the unit, making a total of 5, along with an investigator and 3 aides. The highly specialized team would prioritize non-fatal shootings and firearm-related crimes, providing guidance and support to law enforcement as they went after serial trigger pullers. I've never heard that before. As prosecutors, our greatest responsibilities are to the victims of crimes and protecting public safety. My words tonight, you guys. Lopez said at the time, we must use every tool we can to fight gun violence in our community. Standing steps from Lopez was Burns. Tall and white-bearded, he became an attorney after a 20-year career with the New York City Police Department. Following stints handling insurance defense, divorce, and civil litigation, he came to work as a prosecutor in Hillsborough County during the tenure of former state attorney Andrew Warren, first in 2019, then again in 2021. He started the way many prosecutors do, handling minor crimes in the office's misdemeanor divisions. After a year, though, he'd moved into felony court, dealing with drug and grand theft cases and more serious crimes like robberies. By late 2023, he joined the gun violence unit. Not long thereafter, he got handed the Hashim case. In the months that followed, he sifted through case evidence and subpoenaed witnesses. All right. So all of this sounds like a regular day in my life. I don't know about you guys. Widespread panic. Isn't it illegal for a prosecutor to intentionally withhold evidence? Isn't that committed a crime to convict someone of a crime? Yeah. Welcome, Indie Girl 57. Alexis, and like that your ride or die friend takes it to another level. Seriously. Oh, wow. So Jenny's saying there is some favoritism going on in court this week in where she lives. Okay, carrying on. A victim recants. On July 9th, Burns and Hashim's attorney, Norman Cannella Jr., oh, I didn't realize that, sat in an interview room at the state's attorney's office to take a pretrial deposition for Mohammed Ahmed, one of the two victims. During his testimony, according to court records, Ahmad identified Hashim as the person who shot him. Within minutes of leaving, though, Burns got a phone call. It was Ahmad. He wanted to take back what he'd said, according to court records. He said he thought Hashim might not be the right guy. This is also what happened to Kalief Browder. It is well established in case law and Florida courts rules that prosecutors are supposed to let defense attorneys know about any information they have that might exonerate their client. That includes information about witnesses changing their statements or circumstances that might call into question a witness's truthfulness. Do you have to be told this? I mean, does that have to be that specifically laid out for you to? This is known as Brady material, named for landmark Supreme Court case known as Brady v. Maryland, which held that the government's withholdings of material evidence violates a defendant's constitutional rights. So when a case goes before the Supreme Court and it comes back and it says we hold, that's referred to as the holding or the result of the case. It's basically an answer to the question presented. So we hold the government's withholding of material evidence violates a constitutional rights. Therefore, somebody is denied whatever. That's what a holding is in a very short bite. Burns' court records state did not immediately tell Cannella about Ahmad's phone call. It's not clear why. Wonder why. Word did get back to Cannella, though. Hashim's father told the lawyer the victim in the case may have recanted, according to court records. Cannella dispatched a private investigator to interview Ahmad. Ahmad told the investigator he didn't remember much about the night he was shot, according to court records, but he said the only person whose face he got a look at was a black man whose name he didn't know. On his drive home from the deposition, he began to think about things, the investigator's report stated. He realized the only reason he identified Hashim was because the police told him he was the person who shot him. He said he did not actually see the gunman. He worried that he might be responsible for a wrongful conviction, the report stated, so he called the prosecutor and said he wanted to take back what he'd said in the deposition. Why was he suddenly changing his story? The prosecutor asked, according to court records, had he been threatened or intimidated? Ahmad, according to the report, said he was simply not comfortable labeling someone a criminal when he was not certain. Well, somebody has a conscience. Imagine that. Days passed. On July 18th, Burns called Cannella. He offered a 20-year prison sentence if Hashim agreed to plead guilty. Canella, according to court records, responded that he didn't believe what Ahmad said in the deposition. I said this to open the door for Mr. Burns to divulge that the victim had recanted his deposition testimony, Canella later wrote in a court paper. Burns said nothing, Canella wrote. There was only an awkward pause. The next day, Canella brought the situation to the attention of Burns' supervisors, according to Canella's court paper. I love the way they refer to that. Can't they, like, name the court paper as a motion or something? Assistant State Attorney Justin Diaz. Oh, guys. I have feelings about Mr. Diaz. Responded to him, saying Burns told him about Ahmad's recanted testimony. Diaz, according to Canella, said he instructed Burns to immediately notify Canella, but Burns did not do so. It was only after Canella's conversation with Diaz that Burns filed a pair of written notices explaining his interactions with Ahmad. He wrote that the victim's brother told him that Ahmad had an agreement with the defendant's family, but Ahmad denied that when questioned. Burns was taken off the case, but not before Canella asked a judge to dismiss the charges due to prosecutorial misconduct. Fallout. In a late July court hearing, Canella argued Burns' conduct strikes at the heart of our legal profession's ethical standards. A prosecutor suggested that Burns should have notified Canella of Ahmad's recantation by the end of the next business day. Suggested. Although Burns did not do that, the state argued dismissal was inappropriate because the defense still learned of the information well before trial, and their trial preparation or strategy was not hindered. Hillsborough Circuit Judge Kimberly Fernandez, while not condoning what Burns did, sided with the state, ruling that the law did not automatically require dismissal. But I think it's more or less a violation of ethical considerations as to whether or not there needs to be some sort of investigation by the Florida bar, Fernandez said. Are you kidding me? A day after the hearing, Hashim pleaded guilty in exchange for a 15-year sentence, but he's reserved his right to appeal the judge's ruling. Days after the case concluded, Burns was moved out of the gun violence unit to a less prominent role in one of the state's attorney's felony divisions. His $96,000 annual salary remained unchanged. Shortly thereafter, he applied to be an assistant legal counsel with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, a job that involves representing the agency and its employees in civil matters and providing legal advice. He was hired in October. I am proud of the work I've done at the state attorney's office, he wrote in a resignation letter to Lopez. The letter made no mention of the Hashim case. It is unclear if it was a factor in his departure. After a Tampa Bay Times reporter sent an email to Burns for comment for this story, Hillsborough Sheriff's Office spokesperson responded, citing the agency's policy of not discussing pending litigation. Hashim filed an appeal weeks after he was moved to state prison. In September, he also wrote a letter to the Florida bar. From the Central Florida Reception Center near Orlando, he wrote a 6-page complaint on prison stationery. I was not aware they had stationery. In dark, bold lettering, he described in detail the allegation that Burns withheld evidence that could have helped his case. 16 days later came a letter from Carlos Leon, an attorney for the bar, informing Hashim that his complaint was closed. The bar was unable to take any action that would interfere in a criminal court proceeding, Leon wrote. He suggested that Hashim seek help through the appellate and post-conviction court process. The Florida bar is not permitted to intervene in or review criminal court proceedings. Because your concerns need to be addressed to the court, the discipline system is not the correct forum in which to seek redress of your complaint. Brian Tannenbaum, a South Florida attorney who is not involved in the case but specializes in matters of legal ethics and discipline, said the outcome isn't especially unusual. It's typical for the bar to defer to judges, he said. They may allow the person making the complaint the chance to revive the issue if a court makes a finding that supports the allegations, but judges tend to be reluctant. Judges don't like to sanction lawyers, he said. They believe the bar is the proper place to do that. It's like a hot potato. How do we feel about that? Anyone? It feels icky, Leah. I think it feels more than icky. I think it feels like be afraid, be wary of the justice system, which includes everyone. Is it possible to get a fair trial? Is it possible to get a misbehaving attorney disbarred or sanctioned? Why don't we take a look at the rule of professional conduct? So what I've done is I have brought up, I don't know why my words are so backwards. I have here to present to you guys the rule for prosecutors in Massachusetts and the one from Florida. I thought we would take a look and see how they measure up, and if we think that the attorneys are in fact holding up their end of being an attorney by following the rules of professional conduct. Widespread Panic says there needs to be a place where complaints against an attorney is supposed to be addressed, no passing the buck. Well, listen, I have heard horrible stories of the way attorneys treated people they were representing. And so the person that they were representing has reported this misconduct to the bar, and the bar does nothing, literally does nothing. I don't know what you have to do in this state to be reprimanded. OnlyFans does not think hot potatoes should be dragged into this. I agree. I mean, you guys. All right, let's take a look at this. So, okay, let's bring up, give me 1 second. There's steps to this. So I'm going to present, share screen, and I'm going to pick, I think this is Massachusetts. Okay, let's see. All right, my second screen is like delayed by a few seconds, so I can't tell. So this is the rules of professional conduct, Rule 3.8, special responsibilities of a prosecutor. And so here, I thought we would just take a quick little peek at this this rule 3.8, and see if we thought that the Commonwealth was following that rule. Refrain from prosecuting where the prosecutor lacks a good faith belief that probable cause to support the charge exists, and refrain from threatening to prosecute a charge where the prosecutor lacks a good faith belief that probable cause to support the charge exists or can be developed through subsequent investigation. Make reasonable efforts to assure that the accused has been advised of the right to and the procedure for obtaining counsel. Okay. Not seek to obtain from unrepresented accused a waiver of important pretrial rights. I don't think that's Karen's issue. Make timely disclosure to the defense of all evidence or information known to the prosecutor that tends to negate the guilt of the accused or mitigates the offense, and in connection with sentencing, disclose to the defense and to the tribunal unprivileged mitigating information known to the prosecutor, except when a prosecutor is relieved of this responsibility by a protective order of the tribunal. Guys, I'd like to know, do you guys think that the Commonwealth has followed Rule 3.8D? Karen's attorneys don't think so. Not avoid pursuit of evidence because the prosecutor believes it will damage the prosecution's case or aid the accused. I mean, this is insane, right? When a prosecutor knows that clear and convincing evidence establishes that a defendant in a case prosecuted by that prosecutor's office was convicted of an offense that the defendant did not commit, the prosecutor shall seek to remedy the injustice. A prosecutor's independent judgment made in good faith that the new evidence is not of such a nature as to trigger the obligations of sections 1 and J, though subsequently determined to have been erroneous, does not constitute a violation of this rule. Do you think they need to retake the MPRE in Massachusetts? I mean, I'm just saying. Widespread panic. Maybe I'm being a Pollyanna, but prosecutors should pursue justice, even if that means losing a case. You think? Yes, Karen. Cole says the Commonwealth does believe Karen Read is guilty. But at this point, have they lost their chance to prove that? Have they disqualified themselves from the opportunity to do so? Where do you draw the line? Is there a line to be drawn? If it were you, or you're an attorney, so if you were defending the client, where would the line be drawn for you? Would you be at this point saying, okay, enough is enough, you need to let this go? I have so many questions. I don't have any answers. I just know what feels wrong to me, and I know what lawyers are supposed to do because I took the same exam. Yeah, they do think there is enough evidence. I understand that. I just don't know if at this point they've lost, what do you want to call it? Good faith? That's not quite it. I don't know what words I want to use. I don't know what the word is for. I wonder, but I think that it's an injustice to John O'Keefe, no matter what happens. From the second that investigation started, it was disrespect for John O'Keefe. All right, let's take a quick look. And I'm sorry that Scotti has not made it. I don't know where he was driving from, Texas to Florida. I don't know. He said driving home. I don't know where he was. I guess I should have asked. Let me see. Okay, I've got one more. I thought we'd check the Florida rules of professional conduct and just take a quick peek at that and see how it measures up. Beyond a reasonable doubt, we have so many doubts, Alexis says. I have so many doubts. I mean, if the Commonwealth, if law enforcement had done a proper investigation, and a proper investigation should be done no matter what, but the fact that this was in the case of a police officer in a police officer's front yard is beyond mind-boggling to me. I wouldn't be surprised to hear this so much, I guess, for a regular person, but to hear that this is how they treated a Boston police officer is just, if they can do that, I don't have words. Jenny says, I have so many doubts in anything the Commonwealth is doing. I mean, how are they trustworthy at this point? Where is the video? Where is the competence? I just Karen says, I think that is why Brennan was hired, because no one in the Commonwealth wanted to take the case. Okay. I agree with you. Probably not. Or Lally was demoted, right? But my question is, this man is supposed to be a very good attorney, with his own practice and everything. And I have heard some of the channels on YouTube say, is he willing to risk his reputation and put it all on the line to prosecute this case? And it looks like at the moment the answer is yes, he is. I don't know. It's just such an incredible situation. No matter what you think of Karen Read, I almost want you to take her out of the equation entirely and replace her with anyone, How would you feel about what has happened? How would you feel if you were John O'Keefe's family? How would you feel if you were the defendant, or your friends or your family were the defendant? I mean, kind of, I guess that's what Tanika says seems vengeful. It does. I guess one of the things that I'm hoping to do by coming up here and taking up your time on Saturday nights is to ask you to think about it from a different perspective, put yourself in those shoes. I don't care if you don't like Karen Read's attitude and I don't care. Substitute someone else and think about what is happening. Not that you don't like her. Try to be more objective. And I guess one of the things that you learn somewhere in the mess that is law school is you have to look at something from all sides. So when I was, as I mentioned before, I tutored legal research and writing during the pandemic because all the law students had to go online and they didn't have access to like their own legal writing tutors or clinics or whatever they had at their law schools. And I would often see where there's a particular way in which they teach you to write an argument in law school. And some of you may already know this, and if you do, my apologies. You can't just put up the facts that support your case. You can't just put up the law that supports your case. What you have to do is bring up all the bad stuff, or at least some of the bad stuff too. You've got to bring it up and say, this is what they have, and this is why it doesn't matter, or this is why the good outweighs the bad, or whatever the test is or the argument is. You can't put your head in the sand and pretend that the bad stuff against you isn't out there. It doesn't exist. You have to argue both sides of it. That's called persuasion, right? Hi, Hellcat, welcome in. Yeah, I agree that Karen Read is hard to like, but you don't have to like her. It's about, I don't care if you like her. I don't have any affinity for Karen Read whatsoever. But I am now. I didn't even care about the trial at the time, but now I am in a place where I am interested because I was obviously not speaking on YouTube at the time. So I've told you I have trials on I just let them play, and it's background noise that helps me concentrate. Unless Johnny Depp is testifying, in which case I am staring directly at the screen, Mr. Rottenborn. So I had Karen Read's trial on, maybe because there was nothing else that seemed interesting. And I started to hear the pieces of this come in. And I was like, okay, are you kidding me? And it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse. And That's what concerns me, is that the state police and the prosecutor's office and the judge, they don't seem to care about the rights to a fair anything. That's my opinion. That's how it made me feel. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say. You know, I don't know Route Irish if her family has or has not supported her. Hi, C. Morales, welcome. OnlyFans says, agreed, it's about the prosecution. If the case was solid, they wouldn't have this whole mess. We'd be hating her with all of our hearts. Well, if the evidence was solid, why was it not presented in a solid fashion? I think is the question to ask. Why wasn't the Sally Port motion activated video of the Lexus being brought in, why is that so hard to produce in its entirety with the metadata attached to it? Where's the dog? Why was the dog rehomed? Why was a person who was undeniably, in my opinion, again, an expert on dog bite trauma? I mean, I've never heard anyone with the kind of qualifications this woman had. They had her on the stand for 2 days trying to determine if she was an expert. Are you joking? Seriously? Hellcat, I appreciate you stopping by to say hi. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then inverting the video, but not telling the jury it was inverted. It's crazy. Karen Cole says, Karen Read's family is supporting her. Her brother provided evidence confirming when her car was collected. Trooper Proctor lied. We are 4 subscribers away from 400. Somebody, anybody out there? Is there anybody out there watching that has not subscribed to this channel? Would you please? Could I hit 400 today? That would be amazing and exciting. Also, if you would like the stream, I'd really appreciate it. I hit a milestone of having over 1,000 watch hours this week, so I'm really proud of that. I have set up for future content a Patreon and buy me a coffee. Again, no obligation, no content on Patreon yet. I'm thinking about it. And also set up a channel for my podcast, which is coming. As I said, it's not another true crime podcast. And I put a description of the case in the the description. And they cut me off and I had to edit it down, and that made me kind of mad. But it's there. It now exists, not another true crime podcast. I don't know. I put the links. Aaron has all the links. The links are here. Thanks, Widespread Panic. I appreciate it. Yes, if we could just get a couple more people to subscribe tonight, that'd be fantastic. And Henry and I would very much appreciate it. Yes, Leah, I did set up Buy Me a Coffee. So for anybody who does not know, there are, in order to become like formally YouTube monetized, you have to hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. So I'm at 400 subscribers and 1,000 hours of watch time. So I don't qualify yet even for providing channel memberships. So Patreon is a place where I can put up additional content, and I guess you can subscribe there for free or for a monthly amount, which I haven't. It's there. Okay. Aaron told me I had to do it, so I did it. I also did this Buy Me a Coffee thing, and I guess it's where you can, throw a few dollars my way if you want to. We are 2 subscribers away from 400. Come on, guys. Jenny says, and I can put up stuff on Patreon that I can't put here. So I I struggle with this idea, right? Because I often, and it's my own fault, don't have an extra $3 or $5 or whatever to share, because I do have Henry, who has to eat, organic mixed greens and plain Greek yogurt along with his cat food. So I don't want to put content behind a paywall. And I'm listening to how other channels handle it and all the things, but whatever. If I do end up making any money from YouTube, I will use it to pay for the paid versions, of the things. Yeah, Erin did tell me I had to do it. She made me do it. Blame it on her. She did. She told me I had to do all the things. So I've done all the things, but they're there for now. And like I said, again, I have lots of ideas about things I want to bring you. I'm excited for the podcast. It has been a story I have been wanting to tell for 5 years now. I told the first half of it in a private blog that I used to write, and I never finished it. I didn't tell the second half of it. So I'm excited to bring that to you. It will not be streamed. It will be recorded. I'm processing what I want to do as I go, because as much as I thought about wanting to have a podcast or wanting to have a YouTube channel. Oh, we hit 400. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Wow, I really appreciate it. Hopefully, I don't have too many people who went and subscribed from alternate accounts. But yay, that's really exciting. Thank you so much. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. And I also see in the metrics that I'm getting a lot of views from people who are browsing YouTube, which is interesting, because I didn't think anybody would come that didn't already know me to some extent, if you will. So yay. Yeah, I really appreciate that. That's exciting. That's exciting. So, well, thank you, Mads. I appreciate Dragon Cat subscribing. On the note of number of subscribers, can we talk about the fact that Superball the cat has over 1,000 subscribers? If you don't know, that's Aaron and Chris's cat. Trial TV Live. Superball sits on Chris's lap all day long. Chris is the squeegee of justice. You want a confirmation that you said Harry, but I think you mean Henry is still alive. Oh, he's here. I think he's on the balcony. I'll find him. I've got a little tiny clip of him for you. He is alive. Henry. So, in my ramblings, what I want to say is I am still processing how I want to present content to you guys. I'm always looking for feedback. I want to hear from you, comments, suggestions, concerns. Please keep it civil. Everybody has been extremely kind, and I appreciate that so much. I'm stumbling my way through this, and I'm doing it this way because there's such a strong part of me that is like, it's not imposter syndrome, right? That's what we call it now. And I want to empower other people who have something they want to say to not be afraid to do it, right? It doesn't have to be Instagram perfect. You can still be out here and you can make mistakes and screw up your presentations and do all the things wrong. And that's okay. Like, it's okay, right? Life is messy. My home is messy. It just is what it is. So Superball does have her own channel. maybe Henry needs a channel. I don't know. But I want to thank you guys for joining me this evening. Alexa says a safe space to think and learn and grow. I hope so. I really do. You know, there are great attorneys on YouTube who are breaking things down in amazing ways. Yeah, Henry needs his own channel. And I heard, this is kind of off topic, but I heard Lawyer Lee, who has her own channel, talking about how lawyers are not living in the reality of today's society and social media at all, and that the rules of conduct and all of those things are not up to par for what's happening and what's coming in. And I thought that was a very, very valid um and extremely true point. It was in one of her videos that she did this week, and I was really impressed to hear her talk about that. So if you haven't seen any of Lawyer Lee's videos, go on over and check her out. She does great thorough coverage. I have no idea what state she's in, but I appreciated her take on that. And you know, I appreciate all the lawyers who come on YouTube and discuss the cases and break them down for you and go over the pleadings and all of that. um I just want to shine a light on what happens before we get to trial. Oh, thanks, Mom. Um, yes, we will give Henry a channel. Here, I've got a quick little hello from Henry for you. And then make sure that you set your reminders, your notifications for next Saturday when Tanika and I will be up here jabbering away at you. I will be working on content coming to Patreon. I will be working on bringing the Kalief Browder story to you. And like I said, research the book. You can get it through the Libby app. I have no affiliations with anybody for anything. If you think that it's going to irk you too much to have that you wouldn't be able to participate in a civil discussion, then please feel free to skip it. We'll find other fun things to follow as we go along on this journey. Thank you, C. Morales. I appreciate you for saying that. Henry's got a special place in Aaron's heart. I don't know what it is. Is it his ear furnishings? Lawyer Lee is covering the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively case in depth. That's it. Oh, that's what she was talking about. That civil case between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and the way in which that is playing out on social media. That's what she was talking about. There was a new pleading, and that's a civil case between the actress Blake Lively and an actor / producer named Justin Baldoni regarding a film that was released this summer called It Ends With Us. And that's a whole big civil saga that is ongoing. And it's kind of interesting because at least it's a break from our current spate of everything. Erin loves the ear furnishings with her soul. Okay, Erin, let me see if I can do I have to remove myself to play this little bit of Henry? Yeah, I think I do. Hold on. It's just 7 seconds, guys. Henry's going to say bye to you and thank you. And that will do it for this stream, I think. I don't Henry, Widespread panic. It sounded like it would have been a good movie, but the actors have ruined it for me going. I agree with that completely. I agree. Are the case facts public? What happened with Blake and Justin? Oh, honey, are they? Are they ever? Yeah. She's suing for the S word, discrimination on the. It's a whole thing. It's drama. Very drama. Good night, you guys. I really, 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 really appreciate it. Karen Cole, you don't want to watch It Ends With Us? I haven't watched it. I agree. It's kind of ruined. The lawsuit kind of, I say misconduct. Thank you, Jenny. And yeah, everybody who has the flu, thank you so much. And if you want to stick around for a second, let me see if I can get Henry for you. Hang on. Say hello, Henry. Is he sweet? He makes me bleed. He's a chunker. I just realized, yeah, Karen, it is about DV. So thank you so much for everybody joining us. Thank you for helping me hit 400 subscribers. Make sure you come back next Saturday for the stream with Tanika. I'm sorry that Scotti did not make it. I have to go check on him and find out if he's still alive. That's not like him. So have a great rest of your weekend. And don't forget, if you haven't voted in the poll, please do so. I fixed it. I'm just trying to gauge interest, and that will affect how I present the docuseries on Kalief Browder and the book Charged. And again, I believe there are links for everything already for you. So thank you so much. You guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.